वंदे लोकतिलकं सत्त्ववर्ता विभूषणम् अमरकोत्यसारणं प्रबुद्धं लोकजीवनं प्रणय प्रमत्त जागदीपनं वंदे जीवन जीवनं सत्पुरुषम्. Joy Guru everyone. Today we have a little bit of changed schedule. Usually we start with the evening prayer and then we continue with the satsang. But because of the timings, the bhajan, the evening prayer is at 7:56 p.m. So we will start with the other things and we'll conclude with the evening prayer today. So we'll start with 2 minutes of meditation, then we'll proceed with Satyanusaran and then Nariniti part, and then the bhajans and kirtans, and then Alochana. So we'll start with 2 minute meditation. Please, let's do a 2 minutes of meditation. परम प्रेम श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र परम आराध्या जगत जननी श्री परमा परम पूज्य पास श्री पर्दा परम पूज्य पास श्री आचार्य देव के चरणों में मेरा कोटि कोटि प्रणाम। यहाँ पे उपस्थित सारे ऋतिक देवतागण और मेरे गुरु भाई गुरु माँ और यहाँ पे उपस्थित सारे छोटे बच्चों को मेरा प्रणाम और प्राणानंदित जय गुरु। अभी मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगा नीरज भाई टू रीड दी सत्यानुशासन हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन। जय गुरु नीरज भाई।
जय गुरु। परम प्रेम में श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र जी की स्वहस्त लिखित पवित्र सत्यानुसरण ग्रंथ पाठ हिंदी अनुवाद सत्य। जैसे आदर्श में तुम विश्वास स्थापना करोगे, तुम्हारा स्वभाव भी उसी तरह होगा और तुम्हारा दर्शन भी तद्रूप होगा। विश्वासी का अनुसरण करो, प्रेम करो, तुम में भी विश्वास आएगा। मुझे विश्वास नहीं है, इस भाव के अनुसरण से मनुष्य विश्वासहीन हो जाता है। विश्वास नहीं हो ऐसा मनुष्य नहीं। जिसका विश्वास जितना गहरा, जितना उच्च है, उसका मन उतना उच्च है, जीवन उतना ही गहरा है। जो सत में विश्वासी है वह सत होगा ही, और असत में विश्वासी अस्वत हो जाता है।
जय गुरु नीरज भाई। Now I request Sanvi to read the Satyanusaran English translation. Jai Guru Sanvi.
Jai Guru. as is the ideal in whom you place faith, so will your nature be formed, and your vision too will be like that. Follow the faithful, love him. Faith will embrace you too. I have no faith. With this idea, man only shrinks his faith. There is not a man who has no faith. As deep and lofty the faith has, so high the mind, so profound in the life. He who believes in goodness becomes good. He who believes in devilry becomes devilish. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru Sanvi. Now I request Sujama to read the Satyanusan Odia translation.
जय गुरु। परम प्रेममय श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्रଙ୍କ स्वहस्त लिखित पवित्र सत्यानुसार ग्रंथ पाठ ओडिया अनुवाद। जेपरी आदर्शरे तुमे विश्वास स्थापन करिवो तुमर स्वभाव मध्य सेही परि भाबरे गठित हेबो आउ तुमर दर्शन मध्य तद्रूप हेबो। विश्वासी को अनुसरण कर भल पाओ तुमर मध्य विश्वास आसीबो। मोर विश्वास नाही एही भावर अनुसरण रे मनीष हीन विश्वास होई पड़े। विश्वास नाही एभली मनीष नाही जहार विश्वास जेते गभीर जेते उच्च ताहार मन सेते उच्च जीवन सेते गभीर। जे सत्रे विश्वासी से सत हेब ही आउ असत्रे विश्वासी असत होई पड़े। शांति शांति शांति। जय गुरु।
Now I request Ragini Ma to read the Nari Niti Hindi translation. Jai Guru.
जय गुरु। परम प्रमेज्ञ श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र जी की पवित्र नारी नीति ग्रंथ पाठ हिंदी अनुवाद। जीवन नियंत्रण में जननी और शैशव शिक्षा। बच्चों को सैकड़ों शिक्षा सैकड़ों शासन में किसी प्रकार भी उपयुक्त मनुष्य नहीं बनाया जाता, संभव भी नहीं है यदि माँ उसके जीवन के मूल आधारों को उपयुक्त रूप से अटूट कर विन्यस्त ना कर दे। यदि तुम अपने शिशु को मनुष्य बनाना चाहती हो, उसके दोषों उपयुक्त रूप से नियंत्रित करो। 5 से 10 वर्ष के बीच जैसे अपने शिशु को बनाओगी, वही उसके सारे जीवन को नियंत्रित करेगा। जय गुरु। स्वस्थ और
Now I request Sujaya Ma to read the Nari Niti Odia translation.
जय गुरु। परम प्रेममय श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्रଙ୍କ पवित्र नारी नीति ग्रंथ पाठ ओडिया अनुवाद। जीवन नियंत्रण रे जननी और शैशव शिक्षा। पुओ को सत शिक्षा सत शासन रे केबे हेले उपयुक्त मनीष करा जीव नाही जाई पारे ना। माँ जदि ताहार जीवनर मूल भित्ति गुड़िको उपयुक्त रूपे अतुट करी विन्यस्त करी न दिए। तुमे तुमर शिशु को जदि मनीष करने चाह ताहार दोष गुड़ी को उपयुक्त रूपे नियंत्रित कर। 5 ରୁ 10 वर्ष मध्य जहा करदेव तुमर शिशु को ताहा ही ताहार समस्त जीवन को नियंत्रित करिवो। निश्चय जान। स्वस्ति स्वस्ति स्वस्ति। जय गुरु।
Now I again request Ragini Ma to read the Swasthya Sadhana Sutra. Jai Guru Ragini Ma.
जय गुरु। स्वस्थ और सदाचार सूत्र। श्रम और सुधा को समाचीन परिचार्य में जीवंत रखो। सदाचारशील होकर शाश्वत जो कुछ है उसे विहित भाव से ग्रहण करो, निष्कासन भी करो। तुम्हारा व्यक्तिगत अप्रयोजनित हो जाए जो कुछ, इसी तरह स्वस्थ अस्वस्थित को बजाय रखो। सहज बोधिप्त जीवनीय जागरण ले, कृति मुखर हो, निरोग पथ पर चलो। समृद्ध हो इसी तरह, स्वयं स्वस्थ रहो। परिवार परिवेश का परिचर्य कर उन्हें भी स्वस्थता में प्रभावित कर डालो। असत्य जो कुछ है उसे निकालकर या निराकरण कर साधु सत्ता में संस्थ होकर चलो इसी तरह। जय गुरु।
Jai Guru Ma. Jai Guru. Jai Guru everyone. With this, like, our reading session is over. Now we'll move on to the next session, that is Vajan and Kirtans. So today we have Rameshwar Bhai from Odisha, who has given his time to offer a bhajan for Sisi Thakur. Jai Guru Rameshwar Bhai. Jai Guru.
So,
Rameshwar bhai, internet is, I think you are having some internet connection issues. Can you please check once? Can you please try again? आप एक बार फिर से ट्राई करिए. ना, अभी भी ठीक नहीं आ रहा, ब्रेक हो रहा वॉइस.
जय गुरु.
जय गुरु. अभी बेटर है. हाँ.
परमे केवा जाने महिमा तुम्हारी, हुई जे कुसुमन झुलिते छे अनुखान, हुई जे विहंग को रूपे जार नाही तुम, नेचे नेचे गाहिते छे करुणा तमा परमे केवा जाने महिमा तमा परमे केवा जाने महिमा तमा, हुई जे कुसुम झुलिते छे अनुखान, हुई जे कुसुम झुलिते छे अनुखान, हुई जे विहंग फूल रूपे चार नाही तुम, हुई जे विहंग फूल रूपे चार नाही तुम, नेचे नेचे गाहिते थे, नेचे नेचे गाहिते थे करुणा तुम्हार परमे केवा जाने महिमा तुम्हार परमे केवा जाने महिमा तुम्हार. कोई कल्लोलिनी कुल कुल प्रवाहिनी, कोई कल्लोलिनी कुल कुल प्रवाहिनी, कुल शब्द प्रखालिते चरण तुम्हार, कुल शब्द प्रखालिते चरण तुम्हार, जगतेर जत प्राणी तुम्हारे ईश्वर मानी, नमिते सदा तारा चरणे तुम्हार, जगतेर जत प्राणी तुम्हारे ईश्वर मानी, नमिते सदा तारा चरण तुम्हार परमे केवा जाने महिमा तुम्हार परमे केवा जाने महिमा तुम्हार. आमी जे अधम प्राणी भक्ति स्तुति नाही जानी, आमी जे अधम प्राणी भक्ति स्तुति नाही जानी, अनुकूले कृपा करे ताहि चरण तार, अनुकूले कृपा करे ताहि चरण जाने महिमा तुम्हार में जाने महिमा तुम्हार कोई जे कुसुम झुलितेছে অনুক্ষণ कोई जे कुसुम झुलितेছে অনুক্ষণ कोई जे विहंग रूपे चार नाही तुम कोई जे विहंग रूपे चार नाही तुम नचे नचे गाहिते थे नचे नचे गाहिते थे करुणा तुम्हार में जाने महिमा तुम्हार में जाने महिमा तुम्हार में जाने महिमा तुम्हार। जय गुरु।
Jai Guru Rameshwar Bhai for presenting this beautiful bhajan. We pray at the latest feet of Sri Thakur for your and your family's well-being and prosperous life. Jai Guru. Now I request Chinmay Ma from Bothell, Washington to present or offer a bhajan. Jai Guru Chinmay Ma.
जय गुरु सबको जय गुरु। अम्बा परमेश्वरी अखिलांडेश्वरी आदि पराशक्ति पालय माम्। अम्बा परमेश्वरी अखिलांडेश्वरी आदि पराशक्ति पालय माम्। श्री भुवनेश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी श्री भुवनेश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी आनंद रूपिणी पालय माम्। आनंद रूपिणी पालय माम्। श्री भुवनेश्वरी राजराजेश्वरी आनंद रूपिणी पालय माम्। सदानंद रूपिणी पालय माम्। अम्बा परमेश्वरी अखिलांडेश्वरी आदि पराशक्ति पालय माम्। आदि पराशक्ति पालय माम्। शिवाय परमेश्वराय चंद्रशेखराय नमः। शिवाय परमेश्वराय चंद्रशेखराय नमः। भवाय गुणसंभवाय शिवतांडवाय नमः। भवाय गुणसंभवाय शिवतांडवाय नमः। भवाय गुणसंभवाय शिवतांडवाय नमः। शिवतांडवाय नमः। जय गुरु।
Jai Guru Ma for presenting this soulful bhajan for Thakur. We pray at the lotus feet of Sri Thakur for your and your family's well-being and prosperous life. Jai Guru.
Thank you. Jai Guru.
Okay, so now I will present a Odia bhajan and then we will have Kirtan from Sombhai and Ananyama. Then we'll move to Alochana. So I will this is a Odia bhajan I'm trying for the first time. So तुम बिना प्रभु बंचिबार माने तुम बिना प्रभु बंचिबार माने बुझे नहीं बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी तुम बिना प्रभु बंचिबार माने तुम बिना प्रभु बंचिबार माने बुझे नहीं मु बुझे नहीं बुझे नहीं बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी मोर ए जीवन तनु मन प्राण सब तो मरिदान हे प्रिय परम सत्य सनातन नित्यानंद चिरंतन मोर ए जीवन तनु मन प्राण सब तो मरिदान हे प्रिय परम सत्य सनातन नित्यानंद चिरंतन तुम बिना प्राण निस्व प्रतिक्षण तुम बिना प्राण निस्व प्रतिक्षण पत्र बिना वृक्ष अलोड़ा छाई बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी जीवने आसीछि दुख सुमारी झड़ झंझा घन घोर करिछ तारण पतित पावन बढ़ाइया भयकर जीवने आसीछि दुख सुमारी झड़ झंझा घन घोर करिछ तारण पतित पावन बढ़ाइया भयकर तुम बिना जान ए जीवन मम तुम बिना जान ए जीवन मम मला जन्म एक सुखिला नई बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी तुम बिना प्रभु बंचिबार माने तुम बिना प्रभु बंचिबार माने बुझे नहीं मु बुझे नहीं बंची मु रहीछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंची मु रहिछि तुमको नहीं बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी बंचिबाटा सीना आनंददायी। जय गुरु, जय गुरु। Now I request Ananya Ma and Som Bhai to offer a soulful kirtan for Thakur. जय 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 गुरु, जय गुरु।
जय गुरु दादा।
जय गुरु, जय
आप
गुरु।
इतना अच्छा भजन गाए, मेरे को बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब भी आप गाते हो। बहुत सोलफुल था दादा।
ठाकुर जी की कृपा दरमा।
बहुत अच्छा था दादा।
बहुत अच्छा था, बहुत सही में बहुत अच्छा।
जय गुरु, जय गुरु।
जय गुरु। होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार ओ मनवारे होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार।
राजन सजैसे उनको भी कैसे, राजन सजैसे उनको भी कैसे, कर ले तू कोटि सुहार मनवा, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार रे, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार।
आसन सजैसे उनको भी कैसे,
आसन सजैसे उनको भी कैसे,
कर ले तू कोटि सुहार मनवा,
होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार रे, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार।
देख ले उनको तो करके नजरिया, पावन कर ले तू मन को सबरिया।
देख ले उनको तू करके नजरिया, पावन कर ले तू मन को सबरिया।
देख ले उनको तू करके नजरिया, पावन कर ले तू मन को सबरिया।
देख ले उनको तू करके नजरिया, पावन कर ले तू मन को सबरिया।
सबरिया सबरिया
नजरिया नजरिया,
सबरिया सबरिया
नजरिया नजरिया,
सबरिया
नजरिया
सबरिया।
नजरिया।
अरे प्रभु की
अरे प्रभु की महिमा अपार रे, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार रे, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार। आसन सजैसे उनको भी कैसे, आसन सजैसे उनको भी कैसे, कर ले तू कोटि सुहार मनवा, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार रे, होगा तेरा बेड़ा पार।
सारा जगत के वो पालनहार, दुनियन के वो जिन सब पुकार।
सारा जगत के वो पालनहार, दुनिया के वो सुन तो पुकार।
सारा जगत के वो पालनहार, दुनियन के वो जिन सब पुकार।
सारा जगत के वो पालनहार, दुनिया के वो सुन तो पुकार।
वो
Jai Guru Som Bhai and Ananya Ma for this beautiful कीर्तन. आपने हमें पूरा झुमा दिया कीर्तन के जो इसमें इस कीर्तन से ना हम लोग पूरा बिल्कुल विभोर हो गए हैं. ठाकुर जी को ये बहुत ही जय गुरु माँ, जय गुरु.
बहुत अच्छा लगा दादा. थैंक यू दादा. थैंक
Yeah, we
यू.
pray total state of ठाकुर for your and your family's well-being and prosperous life. Jai Guru Ma.
जय गुरु.
So now we'll move to the next segment, that is the Alochana. So today we have Manoj Patru Bhai from SFO, who has kept our request and gave and has come today to do some Alochana about CC Thakur. So he is serving as a senior manager at Google. He is very familiar to our area. He has spent quite a few years working with Microsoft in Seattle. So Manoj Bhai, Jai Guru, and thanks again for coming today for this sorts of stuff.
Jai Guru, like
Jai Guru, Jai Guru.
all
Manoj Bhai.
fullness from our side. Jai Guru. So Bande Lok Tilakam Satvata Varta Vibhushanam Amara Kutyat Saranam Prabhuddham Loka Jivanam Pranaya Pramatta Jagadipanam Bande Jivana Jivanam Satpurusam. Okay. I offer my hearty Jai Guru to all of you. Now it's actually my fortune that I have been able to join the satsang, and based on a request from Sushil Bhai, I'm fortunate to share a few words. So first of all, I enjoyed the satsang. I mean, I've been enjoying the satsang. When I joined Chinmay, before the Chinmay, somebody else was singing Chinmay's song, and Sushil Bhai's songs are always very touchy. He sings right from the heart. If you notice, he does not look up the lyrics. He has singers who have by hearted the song. That emotion can flow in more in the song. Som Bhai and Ananyama, they always perform beautiful kirtans. In fact, we will be meeting Sushil Bhai with family, Som Bhai and all a week from now in our annual satsang here. So today, I checked with Sushil Bhai and he said it is best to narrate some stories from C.C. Thakur's divine life. And yes, that is very correct. Because his ideology is so vast, it is fathomless. An ideology whose no end we can see. What do we define and describe of that? So I have personally observed that the best is to speak stories that speak all those great qualities that had manifested and come alive in him so naturally, so spontaneously. Qualities of compassion, fellow feeling, selfless love for mankind, a complete understanding of every faculty of human mind, a mind so analytical and yet so clear and lucid in thoughts. So I will narrate at least two, maybe time permitting, and if you get in this way, one or two more. Many years ago, that was the time of 1960, 61. If people remember history, the Chinese aggression had happened, and India led itself into a war with China, a neighboring country, our neighboring country. During that time, some of the bordering areas way in the northeast were impacted severely. One particular village, it is in northernmost portion of Bangladesh, even that got heavily bombed. As it happens, they call it as collateral damage of a war. Civilians are not targeted, but they have to pay a price. So this village got bombed, and in a particular family, everyone but a young boy died. The young boy had just appeared matriculation, and the results were out. He had stood first class first. Those days, first class first in a village meant like the topper of the whole village and perhaps that region. A very bright child came home only to find that he had lost his parents, his siblings, and there was no one. The neighbors took pity on him for some time, but for how long would they take care of a youth when they had their own woes to adhere to cater to? So his upbringing did not allow him to beg for food. And he had been hearing good stories about India, even though it was at war or just coming out of war from China. that India, after becoming independent, was a golden land, lot of open opportunities, blah blah, and so on. So he decided to make the trip, leave Bangladesh, come to India. When he reached the banks of the river that had to be crossed, he had nothing with him, not even a single paisa, a single cent. So obviously the boat keeper did not show any mercy and said that if you are not able to buy the ticket, I cannot take you on boat. Decided, okay, so be it. I am a good swimmer. I will swim across and go to the other side of the river. And he did that. His only possession was his matriculation certificate that he had wrapped in a polythene cover. He swam across that river and arrived on the other side, on the Indian side. Post-war time, paper checks and all were not very strict. They actually permitted people to move from this side to that side. And walking, hiking a ride here and there, he finally reached a railway station, the Muzaffarpur railway station, no Muzaffarpur, the Murshidabad railway station, and started staying there along with some other porters. So railway stations are something where you can do some small menial job and do that. Well, he did not directly land in the Murshidabad station. It took a few days. He stayed here in temple. We have a lot of dharamsalas in India, but people can stay for a night or two free. So he stayed there, had food there, and finally reached there. But before he reached Murshidabad, he had been trying to get a job as a teacher. He was a good student. He was first class, first in matric, which was a great qualification. So he approached various schools, but there was a small problem. In his certificate, the his father's name had been initially misspelled. So he had gone to Dhaka, got that corrected in the school board, and the correction was done manually. Because there was a manual editing on that name, on that certificate, many people eyed it coyly and they doubted the authenticity of the certificate. So the principal would look at the certificate and tell him, okay, keep it, we will let you know, or you can come and check after a few days, something like that, and they would let him go. So he realized he did not get job. So he moved finally to the railway station and started staying there. In the railway station, he would do some manual work, lift some luggage for someone, some would give him money. But most days, money was not sufficient and he had to go hungry, just drink water and survive. One day, I'm sorry, I caught a terrible cold between yesterday and today. So one day, as he was in the evening hours in the railway station, he heard from an adjoining platform, which was primarily used for goods train that would come occasionally and all. And there are these extended platforms with parcel office and all. Next to that, a group of people are seated and they were singing the song Jai Radhe Radhe, Jai Radhe Radhe. So he went there. After that, before the Jai Radhe, there was one gentleman who stood up. He was wearing all clad in white, like our Sushil Bhai, with a lathi or a danda in his hand, and he spoke certain words that were very enlivening words. And after that, Janazah happened. After that, but having stayed there for several months, his leaning had been growing towards communism. Belief in God, godliness, and all were evaporating very quickly. He did not, already the school curriculum that he had studied had a stamp of communism. And with this strong phase of life that he was going through, he was only becoming more and more stoic. But after that satsang was over, people were being distributed prasad. That as the Ritik who was conducting the satsang, he saw this boy, young boy, standing at the back, and when the prasad was offered to him, he accepted it very eagerly and quickly gobbled it. And then he asked that boy to approach him again. That said, "Do you want more prasad?" He said, "Yes." And so he had his fill that day. You know, we've been hungry for quite some time, so he had his fill. Then the Ritik asked him, "How did you like the satsang?" He said, "The prasad was very good." Then he said, "So do you like the prasad?" He said, "Yes." "Do you want to have this prasad every day?" He says, "What? Do you have satsang every day? Do you give this prasad every day?" "Yes. If you come to satsang every day, you can have prasad every day." He said, "Okay." What you were saying also made some sense. So from that day, it became habitual of him to go and attend satsang, primarily with the intention that at least you will get one square meal a day with some respect. You didn't have to beg anywhere. But the words also started playing in his mind. A few months later, he said, "You keep telling this Thakurji is a living ideal. He is this photo, whose photo you keep and you pray to. And that those days, only Thakur's photo would be kept during the satsang. Only Thakur's photo, only one photo. This photograph, he is not a normal human being. You say he's God. Yes. Then his mind, he said, well, if he's God and he's alive, I would like to have a conversation with him directly. I mean, he did not listen to any other. The one good part of being in the station is you know which train goes where and how to travel without ticket. So he took the train to Jasidi station, and from Jasidi station he walked the distance to Devghar Ashram. He asked people the way, and what is about 6 kilometers. And it was around daytime when he reached. He asked, "Where is Thakur Bari?" And finally left, when reached the place where Thakur used to stay. So there was a man standing next to a door. There was a green curtain behind him. So I went and said, I've come to see Thakur. The man standing there asked, "So who are you?" Says, "I am Ami Jatri. I am a traveler." That's it. "Where do you stay?" Says, "I have no house." "Oh, you are like a flying bird. You have no house. You are just flying and traveling." He said, "The birds fly during the daytime. When the sun sets, they go back to their nest. I have none. I am not like a bird." So then the person standing there said, "Oh, what a sharp tongue." Says, "To look, you are tall and fair and all." I mean, he was about 20 years age then, that young boy. You talk also very sharp. "So what do you want?" He says, I told you in the beginning, I have come to meet Thakur." He looked at determination in his eyes. He said, "Okay, wait here." Then that gentleman went inside. A few minutes later, he came out and said, "Okay, go inside, do pranam to him, and come out. Don't speak a word. He is resting." That is what the person told. So this boy nodded. He went in and he saw on a snow-clad white bedstead, a person was seated with his face staring up through the roof, bright face. And as he bowed down, and his whole heart beat when he looked at that figure, so beautiful figure, so handsome, and so much of illumination it felt around his face. So he bowed down. Then, as he bowed down, Thakur was watching up. He turned his head and asked, "Tui ki jas? What do you want?" That was the only question. Three small syllables. "Tui ki jas? What do you want?" But this boy was the brightest student of his village, really sharp minded. He was ready with answers for everything. Though he had been told not to speak anything, it is a normal human courtesy. If somebody questions you, you respond. So he said, "Ami chai shanti." And see how ready he was with answers. So the Thakur asked, "Shanti bole tu ki bujhis? What do you mean by peace?" Then he said, "Shanti, Shanti bole ki bujhis?" He says, you have you can get 2 square meals of day without worry, and that is Shanti. The Thakur smiled a little and asked, "So, if you are able to get 2 square meals a day, that is peace?" Says, "Okay, if you have a steady income and you can manage your meals yourself, that is Shanti." Thakur then asked, "And anything else?" Thought a little and said, "Okay, if you have a place for yourself to stay and you have a steady income and you are able to arrange meals for the day, that is Shanti." Is that all about peace?" Then he thought a little and said, "Okay, if you have a piece of land for yourself next to the house," and then repeated the other thing, the Shanti. The Thakur asked again, "Is that all about peace?" So, having worried and struggled for these very things for last several months, food, shelter, security of an income, he could not think anything beyond that, and said, if a person has access to everything this, then it should be at peace. At this time, Thakur slowly stood up. So he sat up on his bed. And then he asked, Okay, assume a person has all of this, but his health is not good. Will the person be at peace? So immediately, a very prominent figure of his village snapped through his mind. This gentleman's. He remembered him, flashed through his mind, and he said, "Oh no, that person would constantly cough. He had some disease that the Vaidya and doctor said was incurable. How could such a person be at peace?" He said, "No." He already said no. Then Thakur said, "Assume a person's health is also good, but there is a constant squabble in the home. Will a person be at peace?" Then he again remembered some neighbors that they had in the village who had constant bickering between husband and wife, between brother and brothers, and all that. Then he again thought, yes, how could such a person be at peace? The Thakur asked, assume that is also correct. But a person does not get along well with his neighbors. Will such a person be at peace? Then he again remembered some figures of the village. They were as such rich. They owned shops and all, but they were extremely miserly and stingy and would constantly quarrel with others. When they walked some way, people would spit on that path. People didn't want to see them eye to eye. Because if such a person realized that people hate them so much, will people be at peace? He says, no, they are not at peace. Right? So, with every question asked by Thakur, this boy had started feeling how ignorant he was and how inaccurate knowledge of concept of peace he had. Then Thakur asked one question. Say, assume everything is correct. Health is fine. In family, people are good. They get along with each other well. They are at good relationship with their neighborhood. But the political regimen of the country is not good. Will a person be at peace? And then he remembered his own friends and himself. If the government polity and policies are not good, anyone who is a bit patriotic and thinks about the larger community cannot be at peace. The person will be restless, trying to bring about changes. That was what the freedom movement of India had been some 10, 12 years ago. So he again nodded and said, no, a person cannot be at peace. So after that, so he by then this boy had started realizing that yes, he was talking to someone who was way beyond his imagination. And then Thakur asked him, how do you cook rice? This was a complete change of subject. He was taken aback. This what? Now, how do you cook rice? It's okay. Then he thought quickly for a second. I'm a Bengali boy. I can eat 3 times rice a day. This is a question he cannot corner me. So he told, oh, it is very simple. Uh, Thakur actually asked, what all you need to cook rice? Bhat rante ki lage. And then he thought for a while and said, you want rice, you want water, you want a pot, and you want some fuel. The Thakur again asked, is that sufficient to cook rice? Now he thought, he cannot corner me, yes. Thought I said, you can have a little salt, but that is optional. Then he again asked, what else do you need? So I thought for some time, I said, you don't need anything. With this much, you can cook rice. Thakur said, you need a spatula to stir. Then he said, without that also we can. I said, no, without that, the rice will not be uniform. Somewhere it will be overcooked, somewhere it will remain undercooked. You need a spatula to mix that from time to time, to stir that. And he said, yes. And then Thakur, in his own voice, told him about the importance of a love center in one's life and the tenets of yajan, jajan, jajan, and ishtabhuti. Some 10, 12 minutes later, this boy came out, his face brightly lit. And then when that gentleman who was outside went in to Thakur, to escort him to a place, to that room, and he named someone who would give him initiation. So the boy took initiation. Now this boy, in due time, became a worker of Thakur. He got a job in a school as a teacher, worked in that school until his retirement as a principal, got married, had 4 children, 4 sons and 1 daughter, 5 children, bought land, house. He's currently also got multiple mandirs constructed. the Murshidabad Satsang Vihar and then one nearby called Lal Bazar Satsang Vihar were constructed because of his leadership. He currently resides next to that Lal Bazar. He is still alive. Name is Nath Sarkar. In 1961-62, he saw Thakur. 2 years later, he was given Panjabai Thakur by. So stories like this abound in the lives of devotees. So Sushil Bhai, you have to indicate me when it's time, but I can tell at least one more story before we end today.
We have 2 to 3 minutes to conclude, Manoj bhai.
Only 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, so
Okay,
we have prayer at 7:56. So
7:56. Oh, okay. Then I think today there is no time for any other stories. Maybe some other time. So among the thousands of vanis that Thakur has given, this I'm just putting one vani. Thakur says, "Sattaটাকে ধরে রাখে শিষ্ট সুবোধ তাকে সেই রক্ষণী অনুচলন ধর্ম বলে তাকে নিষ্ঠা নিপুণ এই চলনে স্বস্তি দিবা যেই ধর্ম ধ্রুতি সেখানেতেই শুদ্ধ প্রীতিও সেই." And one more vani from Thakur says, আপদ বিপদ দেখলে কারো না ডাকেই না ডাকতেই যায় সেথায় যাস সেথায় যত পারিস তেমনি করিস যাতে বিপদ কেটেই যায় নিজের স্বার্থ বড় করে অপরের হীন ভাববি না আবেদনী সুরটি ছেড়ে চাপান কথা বলবি না যেটুকু পারি স্বাভাবিকে দিতে নারাজ থাকিস থাকো কেউ তোমার দিলে কিন্তু কিছু তাকেও দিতে নজর রাখো ইষ্ট স্বার্থ অপলাপে পরাক্রম চেতিয়ে তুলিস আফসোর ফায় ঝাসনে সেথায় ইষ্ট নীতি জোরেই ধরিস এমন্তর চলনা যদি রাখতে পারিস নিত্যদিন দুনিয়ায় মাথা উঁচুই রবে হতে হবে না কবুই হীন. So this is a Bengali Vani, but this in 4 small couplets he says, how can we keep our head with sufficient dignity always up and don't have to ever cover down? Simple practices. Help others when they are in need even before they call you. If you get something, try to reciprocate. Always speak in a humble and appealing tone, never try to command others. If somebody seeks things from you, give as per your ability. Do not shoo them away. And wherever there is anything going against the principles of the ideal, have the strength to counter that. Don't feel yourself down and low if you, and compromise on that. If we are able to control these things on a daily basis, we can keep our head high with dignity and work towards our ultimate goal, that of liberty, complete liberty. Jai Guru, Vande Purushottam. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru Manoj bhai, for this beautiful story. Heard it for the first time, but it was really touchy, and we are really thankful to you for coming today and doing this alochana. Thank you very much. And we are the Lotus Feet Sri Thakur for your and your family's well-being. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru. Jai.
बाय गुरुहीन तेरा स्वामी आए दया करुणा मेरे जिन शरण लागे जन्म जन्म रे कोई नहीं पाया तेरा काल तेरा मेरा विमोह तेरा चरित जय और मन प्रेमी ज्ञान ज्ञानी जोगी प्रेरती समन पागल मेरा मेरे सुराय राधा स्वामी राम चारे समाये गानी बिना सन्माये सब राधा स्वामी राम की मन सराय निरंजन रागन गाय के हर पावन चुकाए साधु संत हर स्मरण सामने प्रिया पाए प्रेम नागर शरण में मन संतराय तड़पन के खगन किस अगर जाए दर्शन रसनी गहे मन निरता चलिया पास में शब्द विलास भावनी रतन से आए निरंतर भाषा आशा मेरे मन बसे दासा विनय सुनो मेरी पाकर दिन चरण वासा बिन कोई समरथ नहीं सुदाना प्रेम सागर सागर गुलामृत खाना दीन दयाल दयाकर मेरे समरथ स्वामी सुतर करुणाकर इतराय स्वामी बिन कोई समरथ नहीं जैसे भागवदाना प्रेम सागर सागर गुलामृत खाना दयाल दयाकर मेरे समरथ स्वामी सुतर करुणाकर विनराय स्वामी सुतर करुणाकर विनराय स्वामी माय माय जय सविनय कर साधु संगम देव स्वामी राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद हरे जय राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद हरे राधे गोविंद 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 बोले सदाए राधे जय राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद हरे रे मान कापड़ जगरे वरदे बोला हरि 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 नाम परम ब्रह्मा दिव्य गुण धर्म कर्म सारे जय राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण नव गोविंद हरे रे मान कबीरा अजपना में करे सरति गोविंद रावती सरनि नारायण केशव आचरे राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद हरे राधे गोविंद 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 हरे जय राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद हरे हरे मान कावड़ जगरे हरे बोला हरि 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 बोल 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 हरि हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि नाम परम ब्रह्म दिव्य कर्म सारे जय राधे राधे कृष्ण कृष्ण गोविंद गोविंद हरे हरे मान कबीरा अजपना के करे शरण गोविंद गोविंद हरे
वंदे पुरुषोत्तमं
वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमं
वंदे पुरुषोत्तमं
वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमं
वंदे पुरुषोत्तमं
वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमं
परम प्रेममय श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र जी की
जय
परम प्रेममय श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र जी की
जय
परम प्रेममय श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र जी की
जय
परम आराध्या जगत जननी श्री श्री बड़मा की
जय
परम आराध्या जगत जननी श्री श्री बड़मा की
जय
परम आराध्या जगत जननी श्री श्री बड़मा की
जय
परम पूज्यपाद श्री श्री बड़दा की
जय
परम पूज्यपाद श्री श्री बड़दा की
जय
परम पूज्यपाद श्री श्री बड़दा की
जय
परम पूज्यपाद श्री श्री आचार्य देव की
जय
परम पूज्यपाद श्री श्री आचार्य देव की
जय
परम पूज्यपाद श्री श्री आचार्य देव की
जय
सत्संग की
जय
सत्संग की
जय
सत्संग की
जय
वंदे पुरुषोत्तमं
वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमं
वंदे आर्य पितॄन्
वन्दे आर्यपितॄन्
वंदे मातृवर्गान्
वन्दे मातृवर्गन्
वंदे अहं कृष्ण दैवतां
वन्दे अहं कृष्णदेवतान्
वंदे पुरुषोत्तमं
वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमं
वंदे पुरुषोत्तमं
वन्दे पुरुषोत्तमं
परम प्रेममय श्री श्री ठाकुर अनुकूल चंद्र जी की
जय
Jai Guru,
Jai.
Jai Guru everyone for joining today's satsang. We pray at the lotus feet of Sri Thakur for everyone's well-being and prosperous life. Who have been able to join the satsang or not able to join the satsang also, we pray for everyone so that Thakur made their life peaceful and prosperous. Jai Guru, Jai Guru.
Jai.
With this, we'll conclude the satsang for today, and then we'll see you next time again, next month during last week or probably before that. Jai Guru.
Jai Guru.